Useless. That's what my husband called me the night I lost my job. He laughed while I cried, telling me I'd never achieve anything on my own. What he didn't know, I had a secret, a pattern, one I'd been quietly developing for years. And months later, I sold it for $95 million. Let me tell you exactly how the tables turned and why he'll regret underestimating me for the rest of his life. If you've ever been belittled, underestimated, or told you weren't they good enough, then you already know the sting of words like useless. Stick around, because this is one of the most satisfying stories of revenge you'll ever hear. And while you're here, hit that like button, subscribe, and join us for more stories where karma serves up cold, hard justice. I used to believe my marriage was built on love, respect, and partnership. My husband, Daniel, and I had been together for 7 years. I supported him through every failed business idea, every setback, every late-night doubt he carried. But when I lost my own job, suddenly everything changed. It wasn't just a job to me. It was my pride, my stability, my independence. And the night I came home with tears in my eyes, I hoped for comfort. Instead, Daniel leaned back in his chair, smirked, and said a single word that carved itself into my soul. Useless. The word slammed into me harder than any physical blow. My throat tightened. My palms shook. He didn't stop. There he doubled down. I knew this would happen eventually. You've always been too soft for the real world. Don't worry. I'll keep things afloat. Just stay out of the way. I wanted to scream. I wanted to tell him about the countless nights I'd stayed awake sketching designs, scribbling equations, nurturing an idea that had become my quiet obsession. But instead, I swallowed my pride, and I realized something. His cruelty lit a spark in me that night. Escalation. His contempt grows over the following weeks. Daniel's disdain grew sharper. He started joking with friends that he was the only real breadwinner. He'd roll his eyes when I cooked dinner, saying, "At least you can still do this right." At night, when I tried to talk about my plans about maybe starting something new, he cut me off. Don't kid yourself. You're not an innovator. You're a liability. Every time, the words burned deeper. But I had something he didn't know, a secret blueprint, a patent, one that had been quietly pending approval for nearly a year. And as he laughed, belittled, and underestimated me, I worked harder than ever before. Turning point. The patent is approved. The email came at 2:14 a.m. LL. Never forget the way my hands trembled as I read it under the dim glow of my laptop screen. Patent approved. My invention, something I had nurtured from a fragile idea into a real, tangible design, was now legally mine. A technology that could transform industries. I wanted to scream with joy, to dance, to tell someone, but I looked over at Daniel, snoring beside me, and I knew he wasn't worthy of this moment. This was mine. My secret. My future. 4. Revenge planning. Quiet moves. From that moment, every ounce of hurt he gave me became fuel. I began contacting companies, arranging quiet meetings, networking behind the scenes. I wore a mask at home, silent, submissive, useless. Meanwhile, in boardrooms and conference calls, I was commanding attention. CEOs leaned forward as I explained my vision. Investors scribbled furiously as I laid out potential profits. The offers began rolling in. And when the final deal was sinina in cash, I nearly collapsed from the weight of it. But the real reward, that came later. It was a quiet Sunday morning. Danny sat across the table, sipping coffee, scrolling through his phone. "Bills are piling up," he muttered. "Maybe if you'd kept your job, things wouldn't be so tight." I smiled. For the first time in months, I truly smiled. "Actually," I said softly, sliding a document across the table, "we're more than fine." His eyes scanned the numbers. Then again, his coffee cup rattled as his hand shook. 95 million. What is this? Primera Lia? Ned Buck, letting every ounce of satisfaction wash over me. This is what happens when someone you call useless turns out to be worth more than you ever dreamed. He looked at me like he'd never seen me before. Mouth open, eyes wide, and for once, silence from him was the sweetest sound I had ever heard. He begged for details, begged to be included. Promised. He had always believed in me. But I didn't forget the nights he mocked me, the humiliation in front of friends, the word useless echoing like a curse. So I told him the truth. This was mine. Not his, not ours. Mine. And as I watched his face crumble, I felt the weight lift off my shoulders. I wasn't just avenged, I was free. Sometimes the sweetest revenge isn't loud. It's not about screaming or fighting. It's about proving without a doubt that the people who doubted you were wrong all along. Never underestimate the quiet strength of someone you call useless. They might just change the world. If this story gave you chills, smash that like button and share it with someone who's ever been underestimated. Tell us in the comments what's the most satisfying revenge you've ever witnessed. And of course, subscribe for more real stories of karma delivering justice.